I was sitting in the daycare parking lot, engine still running, when the text came through. It was raining. Not the soft kind, the kind that hits your windshield like gravel. I'd been running late all day. Work had bled into the afternoon, and I was supposed to pick up Lucas 20 minutes ago. My phone was face up in the cup holder. The message was from Daniel. Moved to Barcelona with Rachel. Transferred the savings. Good luck. I read it twice. Then I turned the phone over and put both hands on the wheel. Lucas was inside. He was 6. He'd be standing by the window with his backpack, watching for my car. I could see the daycare door from where I sat. The wipers kept going. I didn't move. 3 weeks later, I'd be sitting in a lawyer's office with a file I didn't know existed. But right then, I was just trying to remember how to breathe. I got out of the car. The daycare smelled like wet paper and apple slices. Lucas ran over the second he saw me, his sneakers squeaking on the tile. He had glue on his sleeve and a drawing folded in his hand. "Mom, look, I made a dragon." I knelt down and took the paper. It was green, with wings that didn't match. "That's a good dragon." He nodded, already talking about snack time and someone named Ethan who threw a block. I signed him out at the desk. The teacher smiled and said something about the weather. I smiled back. My hands were steady. In the car, Lucas buckled himself in and started humming. He always hummed after daycare. It was usually the same 3 notes, over and over. "Is Dad picking me up tomorrow?" he asked. "No, bud. Just me this week." "Okay." He went back to humming. I checked my phone at the first red light. The bank app took a second to load. Then I saw it. Joint savings, $0 checking, $318.42. Rent was $2,100. It was due in 5 days. I put the phone back in the cup holder and kept driving. That night, after Lucas was asleep, I sat at the kitchen table with my laptop open. I'd called the bank. They confirmed it. Daniel had transferred everything out that morning, $41, $200. It was a joint account, so technically he could. The representative had been polite. She'd used the word "unfortunately" 3 times. I pulled up our old emails. Daniel and I had been together for 9 years. We met at a work event in Seattle. He was in finance. I was doing contract design work. He used to leave Post-its on my drafts with little notes. "Love this," or "You're so good at this." We got married fast, moved to Portland for my job, had Lucas 2 years later. I'd gone part-time after that. Freelance felt easier with a baby. Daniel's income covered us. I didn't think much about it. But there were signs. A receipt I found in his jacket pocket last year. Dinner at a place we'd never been. He said it was a client meeting. There was a charge for a hotel in Eugene. He said it was a conference. I didn't push. His mother, Susan, had never liked me. She visited twice a year from Sacramento, each time with a new comment about how I dressed or how I organized the apartment. Daniel never said anything. He'd just stand there looking at his phone. I closed the laptop and looked around the kitchen. The rent notice was still taped to the fridge. Lucas's school forms were stacked on the counter. The trash needed to go out. I didn't cry. I just sat there until my coffee went cold. Then I opened my phone and started taking screenshots. The next morning, I dropped Lucas at daycare and drove to Daniel's office downtown. I didn't call ahead. I just went. The building was glass and steel, the kind with a lobby that echoes. I'd been there twice before, once for a holiday party, once to drop off his phone when he forgot it. The receptionist recognized me. "Hi, I'm here to see Daniel Garrett." She looked at her screen, then back at me. Her smile shifted. "Mr. Garrett is no longer with the company." I didn't move. "Since when?" His last day was Monday. Monday was 4 days ago, the day before the text. "He didn't mention he was leaving," I said. She folded her hands on the desk. "I'm sorry, I can't discuss personnel matters." I thanked her and walked back to the elevator. My reflection looked strange in the steel doors, too calm, too upright. I got in my car and sat there for a few minutes, watching people walk in and out of the building. Daniel had planned this. He hadn't just left. He'd quit his job, moved the money, and sent a text from another country. I called his friend Marcus. We'd had them over for dinner a few times. His wife made good brownies. Hey, Jenna, he said. His voice sounded careful. Did you know Daniel was leaving? Silence. Marcus. He told me not to say anything. I put the phone on speaker and set it on the passenger seat. When did he tell you? About a month ago. He said things weren't working with you two, that Rachel made him happy, that you'd be fine. Did he mention the money? No. Jesus. No. I hung up and drove home. There was an envelope in the mailbox when I got back. Certified mail. I opened it in the hallway. Divorce petition. Filed 6 days ago. Daniel's address was listed as Barcelona, Spain. There was a section about parental rights. He'd checked the box that said he was relinquishing custody. There was a note from his lawyer clipped to the front. It said I had adequate financial resources and that Daniel had relocated for work opportunities. Both were lies. I set the papers on the kitchen counter and went through Daniel's desk. He'd left it behind, said he didn't need it anymore. I pulled open the drawers one by one. Bills, old chargers, a notebook full of meeting notes. Then I found an envelope in the bottom drawer, tucked under a stack of takeout menus. It was addressed to Susan, Daniel's mother. Inside was a birthday card. The front had a picture of a beach. The message inside was in Daniel's handwriting. Mom, thanks for covering the deposit on the Barcelona place. Rachel and I can't wait to show it to you. Couldn't have done this without you. Love, Dee. The card was dated 3 months ago. I took a picture of it with my phone. Then I put it back exactly where I found it. Susan had known. She'd helped him plan it. She'd probably known longer than Marcus, longer than anyone. I sat down at the table and opened my laptop. I made a folder and labeled it Documents. I uploaded the screenshots from the bank, the divorce petition, the photo of the card, and the text Daniel sent. Then I searched for divorce attorneys in Portland. The attorney's name was Laura Chen. Her office was small, just 2 rooms near the river. She had good reviews and a consultation fee I could barely afford. I brought Lucas with me because I didn't have anyone to watch him. He sat in the corner with his tablet while Laura and I talked. She read through everything I'd brought: the petition, the bank statements, the photo of the card. This is calculated, she said. He drained the account, quit his job, filed for divorce, and moved to another country, all within a 2-week window. Can we get the money back? We can try. Joint accounts are tricky, but judges don't like this kind of behavior. We'll file for emergency child support and request a freeze on any accounts we can find, but we need proof he's earning income. I nodded. My chest felt tight. Do you have access to any of his accounts? Email? Cloud storage? Maybe. He used to use the same password for everything. Laura leaned forward. If you can find anything, pay stubs, contracts, transfer records, bring it to me. Don't delete anything. Just document it. I left her office with a retainer agreement and a payment plan. My parents called that night. I told them everything. My mom cried. My dad didn't say much, but the next morning, they sent enough to cover rent. We'll help however we can, my mom said. You're not doing this alone. That night, after Lucas went to bed, I opened Daniel's laptop. He'd left it on the kitchen counter when he packed. I didn't think he'd come back for it. I tried his usual password, Lucas's birthday. It worked. His email was still logged in. I scrolled through his sent folder. There were messages to Rachel, messages to his new boss, and then I saw one in his drafts that hadn't been sent. It was addressed to someone at a company called Crescent Financial Group in Barcelona. The subject line said, "Start date confirmation." I opened it. The email had his resume attached. The start date was listed as 2 days after he sent me the text. I forwarded it to myself. Then I sent it to Laura. I closed the laptop and sat in the dark kitchen for a while. The apartment was quiet. I could hear the refrigerator humming. I wasn't angry anymore. I was something else. Focused. I couldn't sleep that night. I kept thinking about the draft email, the timeline, the card to Susan. Everything had been planned. While I was helping Lucas with his homework and meal prepping for the week, Daniel had been building an exit. At around 2 in the morning, I got out of bed and went back to the laptop. I opened Daniel's cloud storage. Same password. It logged right in. There were folders for work, taxes, personal files. I clicked through them slowly. Most of it was ordinary: old spreadsheets, scanned documents, photos from years ago. Then I found a folder labeled Legal. Inside were PDFs. I opened the first one. It was a document titled Custody Strategy. I read it twice to make sure I understood. Daniel and Susan had written out a plan. They were going to use my postpartum depression against me. I'd had it after Lucas was born, about 8 months of feeling like I was underwater. I'd gone to therapy. I'd gotten better. Daniel had been supportive back then. He'd driven me to appointments, made sure I ate. Now I saw what he'd really been doing. The document said they'd argue I was unstable and unfit, that I'd struggled to bond with Lucas, that I'd needed medication. It said once Daniel was settled in Barcelona, they'd file for custody and bring Lucas to Spain. There were text messages attached, screenshots between Daniel and Susan. One from her, dated 4 months ago. Once you're there, we'll move forward. Her history gives us what we need. I sat back from the screen. My hands were shaking, but not from fear, from something else. I kept scrolling. There was another folder. Accounts. Inside was a statement from a bank in the Cayman Islands. The account holder was listed as Daniel Garrett. The balance was $45,000. I took screenshots of everything: the custody plan, the texts, the bank statement. I uploaded them all to my own cloud and emailed copies to Laura. Then I closed the laptop and went back to bed. I didn't sleep, but I lay there until the alarm went off. The next day, Laura called me while I was at the grocery store with Lucas. He was picking out cereal. I stepped into the next aisle. "Jenna, this is bigger than I thought," she said. "The custody plan is conspiracy. The offshore account is hidden assets. We can use all of this." "What do we do?" "We file for an emergency hearing. I'll request full custody, child support, and a freeze on his accounts. With this evidence, we have a strong case." "How long will it take?" "I can get us in front of a judge within the week." I thanked her and hung up. Lucas came around the corner holding a box of cereal with a cartoon tiger on it. "Can we get this one?" "Yeah, bud, we can get that one." That afternoon, my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. It was a woman's voice, younger, nervous. "Jenna, this is Rachel." I stopped folding laundry and sat down on the couch. "What do you want?" "I need to talk to you. It's about Daniel." I waited. "He's lying to me too," she said. "There's another account, one he didn't tell me about, in Liechtenstein, over $200,000, and he's coming back to Portland tomorrow. I don't know what he's planning, but I'm scared." "Why are you telling me this?" "Because I'm done. I thought this was different. I thought he loved me. But he's just using me the same way he used you." I didn't say anything. "I'll send you the account information," Rachel said. "But I need something in return. I need protection. If he finds out I talked to you, he'll come after me." "I'll talk to my lawyer." "Thank you." She hung up. 10 minutes later, my phone buzzed. Rachel had sent screenshots, bank statements, transfer receipts, a sworn statement she'd typed up and signed. I forwarded everything to Laura. Laura called me back within the hour. "This changes everything," she said. "With Rachel's testimony, we can prove fraud, hidden assets, and intent to deceive. I'm drafting a motion for a restraining order. If he's flying back tomorrow, we need to move fast." "What do I do?" "Nothing. Stay home. Don't contact him. Let me handle it." That night, I made Lucas mac and cheese. We watched a movie. He fell asleep on the couch, and I carried him to bed. I checked my phone before I went to sleep. Daniel had sent a text. "I'm coming back to fix this. We need to talk." I didn't reply. I just turned the phone off and set it on the nightstand. The next morning, Laura called at 7. "We got the restraining order. Airport security will serve it when he lands. He won't be able to contact you or come near the apartment." "What about the hearing?" "Tomorrow, 10 a.m. Bring everything." I dropped Lucas at daycare and spent the rest of the day organizing files. I printed copies of the bank statements, the custody plan, the texts, Rachel's statement. I put them all in a binder with labeled tabs. At 3 in the afternoon, Daniel called. I let it go to voicemail. I don't know what you're doing, Jenna, but you need to stop. I came back to work this out. Now I'm being detained at the airport like a criminal. This is insane. I deleted the voicemail and went to pick up Lucas. That night I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. I answered. Ms. Garrett, this is Alicia Moreno. I'm with HR at Crescent Financial Group in Barcelona. My stomach dropped. We received an email yesterday from someone claiming to be you. It contained legal documents and allegations about Mr. Garrett's personal life. We terminated his employment this morning. I didn't send that email. I thought as much. I'm forwarding it to you now. The email came through while we were still on the phone. It had my name on it, but I hadn't written it. It included copies of the divorce petition and custody documents. Someone had sent it pretending to be me. Do you know who might have done this? Alicia asked. Yes, I said. I think I do. I thanked her and hung up. Susan. She'd been at my apartment 2 weeks ago, right after Daniel left. She said she wanted to help. I'd let her in. She'd sat at the kitchen table while I made coffee. She'd asked to use the bathroom. She must have gone through my papers. I called Laura and explained what happened. We'll add it to the case, she said. Identity fraud. Interference. This is exactly the kind of behavior judges hate. An hour later, Daniel sent me a series of texts. Angry. Blaming me for getting him fired. I forwarded them to Laura without reading the rest. Then I texted him back. Check your messages with your mother. He didn't reply. The hearing was scheduled for 10 in the morning. I woke up at 6, made Lucas breakfast, and got him ready for daycare early. My parents drove up from Eugene the night before and stayed at a hotel nearby. They offered to watch Lucas, but I wanted to keep his routine normal. I wore a gray sweater and black pants, nothing flashy. Laura had told me to look calm and put together. You want the judge to see someone who has their life in order, she'd said. I met her outside the courthouse at 9:30. She was carrying a leather briefcase and wearing a navy suit. She looked ready. How are you feeling? She asked. Steady. Good. That's what we need. We went through security and walked to the courtroom on the 3rd floor. It was smaller than I expected. Wooden benches, high ceilings, a clerk shuffling papers at the front. Daniel's lawyer was already there. Tall guy in an expensive suit. He didn't look at me. And then I saw Susan. She was sitting in the back row, arms crossed, staring straight ahead. She was wearing a cream blouse and pearls. Her face was tight. Laura noticed. Is that his mother? Yeah. Good. I'm calling her as a witness. We sat down at the table on the left. Laura opened her briefcase and pulled out the binder I'd put together. She laid everything out in front of her. Bank statements, screenshots, Rachel's statement, the custody plan. At exactly 10, the judge walked in. Everyone stood. She was older, maybe in her 60s, with short gray hair and reading glasses on a chain. Be seated, she said. The clerk called the case. Laura stood and introduced herself. Daniel's lawyer did the same. The judge looked at the file in front of her. This is an emergency motion for custody, child support, and asset freeze. Ms. Chen, you're representing the petitioner? Yes, Your Honor. Proceed. Laura walked the judge through everything. She started with the text Daniel sent, then the drained bank account, the resignation from his job, the Barcelona employment offer, the divorce petition filed while he was already out of the country. Then she moved to the offshore accounts, the Cayman Islands, the Liechtenstein account Rachel had provided. The judge's expression didn't change, but she leaned forward slightly. Laura pulled out the custody plan document. Your Honor, this was found in Mr. Garrett's cloud storage. It outlines a strategy to use Ms. Garrett's prior mental health treatment, postpartum depression following the birth of their son, as grounds to remove the child from her care and relocate him to Spain. She handed a copy to the judge and one to Daniel's lawyer. The judge read it. She didn't say anything, but her jaw tightened. Then Laura introduced the texts between Daniel and Susan. These messages show that the defendant's mother was actively involved in planning this relocation and custody strategy. She also provided financial assistance for the Barcelona apartment and encouraged the defendant to pursue full custody once he was settled abroad. Daniel's lawyer stood up. "Your Honor, this is speculation. There's no proof. I have the bank records showing a transfer from Susan Garrett to the defendant 3 months ago," Laura said. "And I have the birthday card Mr. Garrett sent to his mother thanking her for the deposit." She handed over copies. The judge looked at Susan in the back of the room. "Mrs. Garrett, you'll be called to testify." Susan's face went pale. Laura continued. She presented the email sent to Crescent Financial Group, the one that got Daniel fired. She explained that it had been sent using my name and contained documents that only someone with physical access to my apartment could have obtained. "Mrs. Garrett visited Ms. Garrett's home 2 weeks ago under the pretense of offering support. We believe she used that opportunity to photograph or copy legal documents, which she then used to sabotage her son's employment." The judge looked at Susan again. "Is that true?" Susan stood up. "I was trying to protect my son. She's the one—" "Sit down, Mrs. Garrett," the judge said. "You'll have your turn." Susan sat. Daniel's lawyer tried to argue that I was being vindictive, that I'd fabricated evidence, that I was using the legal system to punish Daniel for leaving. Laura didn't react. She just handed the judge Rachel's sworn statement. "Your Honor, this is testimony from Rachel Yates, the woman Mr. Garrett relocated with. She confirms the existence of the Liechtenstein account and states that Mr. Garrett concealed assets from both her and Ms. Garrett. She has provided bank records to support this." The judge read through the statement. Then she looked at Daniel's lawyer. "Does your client have anything to say?" Daniel's lawyer hesitated. "We'd like to request a continuance to review." "Denied," the judge said. "I've seen enough." She set the papers down and looked at me. "Ms. Garrett, do you have anything you'd like to add?" I stood up. Laura had told me I didn't have to speak, but I wanted to. "I just want to make sure my son is safe and provided for," I said. "That's all I've ever wanted." The judge nodded. "Sit down." She turned to the clerk and dictated her order. Temporary full custody to me. All of Daniel's known accounts frozen pending forensic accounting. Supervised visitation only if he chose to exercise it. Child support set at $1,800 per month, retroactive to the date he left. And then she added something I didn't expect. "I'm also ordering an investigation into possible identity fraud and conspiracy charges related to Mrs. Garrett's actions. The district attorney's office will be notified." Susan stood up again. "You can't—" "I can, and I have," the judge said. "This court does not tolerate manipulation of the legal system or attempts to interfere with custody proceedings. You'll be hearing from authorities." She closed the file. "We're adjourned." Laura and I walked out of the courtroom together. Susan was gone. Daniel's lawyer was on his phone in the hallway, his voice low and tense. "That went better than I expected," Laura said. I nodded. I didn't feel victorious. I just felt tired. "What happens next?" "The forensic accountant will go through everything. If they find more hidden assets, we'll recover them. Susan will likely face charges. Daniel's going to have a hard time finding work with this on his record." "And Lucas?" "He's safe. That's what matters." I thanked her and walked out of the courthouse. My parents were waiting outside. My mom hugged me. My dad squeezed my shoulder. "You did good," he said. We went to pick up Lucas from daycare together. The forensic accountant's report came back 3 weeks later. Laura called me on a Tuesday morning while I was working from home. Lucas was at school. "They found more than we thought," she said. She walked me through it. The Cayman account had $45,000, like I'd seen. The Liechtenstein account had $230,000, more than Rachel had estimated. But there was also a third account, a business holding account in Delaware, with another $67,000. "That's over $300,000, I said. "Correct. And none of it was disclosed in the divorce petition. The court is ordering full recovery of marital assets. You're entitled to half, plus reimbursement for the $41 and $200 he took from your joint account. What about Susan? The DA filed charges last week: identity theft and interference with custody proceedings. She's facing fines and possible jail time, but more likely probation and community service given her age and lack of prior record. Her lawyer's already trying to negotiate a plea. I sat down at the kitchen table. And Daniel? He's been trying to call my office. He wants to negotiate. For what? Reduced support payments, visitation rights. He's also asking if you'd be willing to drop the asset recovery in exchange for him signing over full custody with no future claims. I didn't answer right away. You don't have to decide now, Laura said. But he's running out of options. His reputation is damaged. He can't work in finance with this kind of legal history. He knows it. Let him call, I said. I'll talk to him. Laura paused. Are you sure? Yeah, but I want it on record. Can we do it at your office? Absolutely. The meeting was set for the following Thursday, 2 o'clock, Laura's office. Daniel flew back from Barcelona the day before. I didn't know where he was staying, and I didn't ask. I dropped Lucas at my parents' house that morning. My mom made him pancakes. He didn't ask about his dad anymore. He'd stopped about 2 weeks after Daniel left. I got to Laura's office 15 minutes early. She had coffee ready. We went over the terms one more time. You don't owe him anything, she said. Remember that. I know. Daniel arrived right at 2. He looked different, thinner. His shirt wasn't ironed. He hadn't shaved in a few days. He sat down across from me. Laura sat beside me with a notepad. Thanks for meeting, he said. I didn't respond. He cleared his throat. I know I screwed up. I know I hurt you. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I just want to figure out a way forward that doesn't destroy both of us. You already destroyed us, I said. I'm just cleaning up the pieces. He looked down at his hands. I lost my job. Rachel left. My mom's facing charges because of what she did. I don't have anything left, Jenna. You have $300,000, I said. Hidden in accounts you didn't tell me about. That's not... It is, Laura said. The forensic report confirmed it. You concealed marital assets and drained the joint account while planning your exit. That's fraud. Daniel exhaled slowly. What do you want? I'd thought about this for days. I'd written it out, crossed things off, rewritten it. I want full custody, no future claims. You sign away any parental rights, and you don't contest it. Jenna, I'm not done, I said. You pay child support as ordered by the court. You return my half of the marital assets, and you stay out of our lives. He stared at me. You're cutting me off from Lucas completely? You already did that, I said. You sent a text from another country and relinquished custody in the divorce papers. I'm just making it official. I didn't mean... Yes, you did. The room was quiet. Laura tapped her pen once against the notepad. Daniel leaned back in his chair. If I agree to this, do you drop the asset recovery case? No, I said. You give back what's mine. That's not negotiable. Then what's in it for me? You don't go to jail for fraud, Laura said. And we don't pursue further legal action for the emotional and financial harm caused to Ms. Garrett and her son. That's the offer. Daniel rubbed his face. I need time to think. You have until tomorrow, Laura said. After that, we proceed with full litigation. He stood up. He looked at me one more time, like he wanted to say something. But he didn't. He just left. The next day, his lawyer sent over the signed agreement. Daniel agreed to everything: full custody, asset return, no future claims. Laura called me with the news while I was making dinner. It's done, she said. He signed. I set the spoon down and leaned against the counter. Okay. How do you feel? I don't know yet. That's fair, she said. The asset transfer will take a few weeks to process, but once it clears, you'll have what you're owed. And Lucas is legally yours. No one can challenge that. I thanked her and hung up. Lucas came into the kitchen holding a toy truck. Can we have spaghetti? Yeah, bud, we can have spaghetti. He sat at the table and rolled the truck back and forth while I finished cooking. The sound of the wheels on the wood was steady and small. 2 weeks later, the money cleared. $191,600. Half the assets, plus what Daniel had taken. I paid off the credit card debt we'd accumulated during the separation. I put some in savings. And then I started looking at apartments in a different part of the city. Susan's plea deal came through the following month. Probation, a fine, community service. She was banned from contacting me or Lucas. Her name was added to a registry for custody interference. I didn't hear from her again. Rachel sent me one email. It was short. Thank you for not dragging me into the trial. I'm sorry for my part in this. I hope you and Lucas are okay. I didn't reply. Daniel used his supervised visitation twice. Both times he showed up late. Both times Lucas didn't want to go. After the second visit, Daniel stopped scheduling them. I didn't follow up. 3 months after the settlement, I moved. The new apartment was in a quieter part of Portland, near a park Lucas liked. 2 bedrooms, hardwood floors, windows that let in actual sunlight. The rent was higher, but with the recovered assets and my full-time work, I could manage it. Lucas picked out paint colors for his room, blue with white trim. He wanted glow-in-the-dark stars on the ceiling, so I bought a pack and we stuck them up together one Saturday afternoon. This is better than the old place, he said. Yeah? Yeah, it smells better. I didn't ask what he meant. I just handed him another star. I'd gone back to full-time work a month earlier. A design firm downtown had an opening for a senior illustrator. The pay was good. The hours were flexible. They didn't mind when I had to leave early for school pickup. My manager's name was Carla. She was in her 50s, calm, direct. During my second week, she asked if I wanted to take lead on a campaign for a children's book publisher. It's a big project, she said, but I think you'd be great for it. I said yes. The work felt good. It felt like mine again. Lucas started first grade that fall. He made a friend named Oliver who lived 2 buildings over. They rode their bikes in the courtyard after school. Sometimes Oliver's mom and I would sit on the benches and talk while they played. Her name was Stephanie. She was a single mom too. Her ex had moved to Arizona and barely called. It gets easier, she said one afternoon. Not fast, but it does. I believed her. One evening in late October, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Is this Jenna Garrett? Yes. This is Colin Price. I'm an attorney in Sacramento. I'm calling regarding the estate of Susan Garrett. I sat down. What about it? Mrs. Garrett passed away 2 weeks ago. Heart attack. She named you as a secondary beneficiary in her will. I didn't say anything. There's a trust set up for your son, Lucas. $50,000. It's designated for education expenses only, accessible when he turns 18. Why would she do that? I don't know, ma'am. The will was updated 6 months ago. There's a letter attached if you'd like me to send it. Okay. He took my email address and said the paperwork would arrive within the week. I hung up and stared at my phone for a while. The letter came 3 days later. It was handwritten on cream stationery. Susan's writing was neat and slanted. Jenna, I won't apologize for trying to protect my son, but I was wrong about you. You're a better mother than I gave you credit for. Lucas deserves stability, and you've given him that. This money is for him, not you. Make sure he uses it well. Susan. I read it twice. Then I folded it and put it in a drawer. I didn't cry. I didn't feel relief or closure. I just felt tired. But I set up the trust account the following week. By winter, things had settled into a rhythm. Work, school pickup, dinner, homework, bedtime, repeat. Lucas stopped asking about Daniel entirely. On his 7th birthday, I took him to the Science Museum. Oliver came with us. We ate pizza in the food court and watched a planetarium show about black holes. Did you have fun? I asked him on the drive home. Yeah, he said. Best birthday ever. He fell asleep in the back seat before we got home. I carried him upstairs, his arms loose around my neck. One night in December, after Lucas was asleep, I sat at the kitchen table with a cup of tea and looked around the apartment. The dishes were done. The laundry was folded. Lucas's school project, a papier-mâché volcano, was drying on the counter. Everything was quiet. I thought about the text Daniel had sent a year ago, the one that had arrived while I sat in the daycare parking lot in the rain. Good luck. At the time, it felt like a curse. Now, it just felt small. I picked up my phone and opened the folder where I'd saved all the documents, the screenshots, the statements, the emails. I looked at them for a minute, then I deleted the folder. I didn't need it anymore. Spring came early that year. By March, the cherry blossoms were already out along the park near our apartment. Lucas and I walked there most afternoons after school. He liked to climb the low branches and collect fallen petals in his pockets. One Saturday, we were sitting on a bench eating ice cream when a woman sat down next to us. She looked about my age, maybe a little younger. She had a toddler with her in a stroller. The toddler dropped a toy, and Lucas picked it up and handed it back. "Thank you," the woman said. Then she looked at me. "He's sweet." "Thanks." We sat in silence for a minute. Then she said, "Can I ask you something?" I nodded. "How do you do it? The single parent thing. You look like you have it together." I almost laughed. "I don't. I just keep going." She smiled a little, but her eyes were tired. "My husband left 2 months ago, moved in with someone from his gym, took half our savings. I don't even know where to start." I looked at her for a second. Then I pulled out my phone and opened my notes app. I typed Laura Chen's name and number and handed the phone to her. "Call this lawyer," I said. "She'll help you figure it out." The woman stared at the screen. "Thank you," she said quietly. "I didn't think anyone would understand." "I do," I said. She took a picture of the number with her own phone and handed mine back. We sat there a little longer, watching the kids. Then she stood up, thanked me again, and walked toward the parking lot. I watched her go. Lucas tugged on my sleeve. "Can we go to the swings?" "Yeah, bud, let's go." That night, after Lucas was asleep, I sat on the couch with a book I'd been trying to finish for weeks. The apartment was clean, the bills were paid, there was food in the fridge. My phone buzzed. A text from Stephanie, Oliver's mom. "Coffee tomorrow? I need to vent about my ex." I smiled and typed back. "Sure, 9 a.m.? She sent a thumbs up. I set the phone down and looked around the living room. Lucas's drawings were taped to the wall. His shoes were by the door. The glow-in-the-dark stars from his room cast a faint light into the hallway. This was my life now, small, steady, mine. I thought about Daniel sometimes, not often. Mostly I wondered if he ever thought about Lucas, if he regretted the way he'd left, if he'd built something better in Barcelona, or if he was still running. I didn't know, and I'd stopped needing to. I opened my book and read until my eyes got heavy. Then I turned off the lamp, checked the lock on the front door, and went to bed. The next morning, I made pancakes. Lucas ate 3 and got syrup on his shirt. I changed him into a clean one and walked him to the bus stop. "Love you, Mom," he said before he got on. "Love you too, bud." I watched the bus pull away, then walked back to the apartment. The sun was out. The air smelled like coffee from the cafe on the corner. I had work in an hour, a meeting with Carla about the next campaign, dinner to plan, laundry to fold. But first, I poured myself another cup of coffee and sat by the window. It was quiet. It was enough. If you've made it this far, thank you for listening. I know these stories aren't easy, but if Jenna and Lucas's story meant something to you, if it reminded you that you're stronger than you think, leave a like and hit subscribe. I'd love to know where you're watching from and what time it is in your city. Drop it in the comments. 2 more stories are coming up next. Real people, real battles, real endings. Some messy, some quiet. All true. I'll see you in the next one.